Good evening and welcome to Business with me, Matilda Nyakwa Kweku. Now, the country's high interest rates regime is not limiting its impact to just local businesses, as decisions by both government and its international partners are also being affected. The International Finance Corporation has announced a freeze on plans to issue a 2 billion cedi bond in Ghana. Proceeds from the auction were expected to be channeled to support small businesses. Government has also suspended the issuance of its 7-year bond to avoid a situation where it will be stuck with high interest payments in the long term. Interest rates on short-term notes are currently hovering around 25%. The IFC is, however, not ruling out the bond offer entirely. Its Vice President Jedong Hua says the corporation will want to observe the situation for a while and move when the time is right.
We're developing a project pipeline so that once we are able to issue the bond, we're able to finance our private sector investment. So it's a continuing process, and we are continuing with market preparation, appointing lead arrangers, so on and so forth. So all this work is ongoing.
What proposed timeline are you working with to issue this bond in Ghana?
I cannot share with you timing, but once we are ready, market condition is ready, we have all the approvals from the central bank and Minister of Finance. So when everything is lined up and ready, and when interest rate becomes, attainable, we are ready to issue, because market changes, as you know. So opportunities can come anytime. But indeed, high nominal interest rate in any country in Africa stymies the appetite from private sector to borrow. Because when you plug in a 20% or more interest rate to any project, profitability.
The European Investment Bank is to provide 20 million euros to Société Générale Ghana to support investment by small and medium-sized companies and further develop the financial sector. Managing Director of Société Générale Ghana, Gilbert Here, however, says the recent forex policy measures by the Bank of Ghana means only exporters can benefit from the fund for now.
The amount is a first tranche of an 80 million euro facility from the European Investment Bank. The managing director of Société Générale, Gilbert High, said the fund would provide long-term finance for SMEs to deepen investment.
The first one is this one with the European Investment Bank, which is providing a cheap funding and long-term funding in favor of SMEs. So, it is very important to provide the SME sector with long-term financing first and cheap financing. 80 million euro credit facility will finance 160 million euro investments from the SME. On investment financing, we're not talking about working capital, we're talking about financing investments. And this is what is especially lacking in developing countries like in Ghana, is long-term financing to give time to the companies to repay the cost of the investment.
Though only exporters can benefit from the fund at the moment, he explained other SMEs could draw from it in the future once the forest regulations permit.
Of course, this financing is only in foreign currency, and the recent Bank of Ghana restrictions on foreign currency lending is making it applicable only to exporters today. But we hope that as soon as these restrictive measures are levied, it will benefit to all the sectors of the economy, and this 20 million euro credit facility, which is representing 80 million Ghana cedi, which is something big, will be benefiting to all the sectors and not only exporters. Moreover, it is the first part of an 80 million euro financing program from EIB to the banking sector.
The Bank of Ghana says it is comfortable with the current set of regulations governing the operations of microfinance institutions in Ghana. Following a raft of incidents involving collapsing microfinance firms, the central bank took steps to tighten monitoring and safeguard depositors' fund. The Director of Financial Institution Supervision Department, Raymond Amanfo, however, tells Joy News at the 8th Ghana Microfinance Forum, the Bank of Ghana has some more work to do to ensure compliance in the sector.
The forum, which focused on liquidity, governance and microfinance regulation, brought together microfinance institutions, regulators and policymakers. This forum was to educate practitioners and share new ideas regarding the operations of players in the sector. The Director of Financial Institutions Supervision Department of the Bank of Ghana reminded the microfinance firms of their obligation to provide additional capital for each branch they seek to add to their network.
It's a matter of time because you introduce a regulation, you need to monitor and ensure compliance. So it's the issue of monitoring the compliance that we have to step up. I agree that the numbers are large. We have increased our numbers now. So we should be able to push the monitoring a bit further. So now you can't open a branch without approval. All the companies that are branches without approval, they will have to provide additional capital and will regularize the branches. Do the owners themselves understand that depositors' money are not their money? Do they? So what we have to do is that we have step-up training. At least we will run workshops, at least 4 or 8 in a year for the practitioners to understand the importance of the
management consultant Ernest Senyo Jandu, one of the facilitators at the forum, said owners of microfinance institutions should be bold enough to invest their own funds in the establishment of their companies to convince others of their viability.
I think a number of them are not putting their own monies in the business. They are happy to use depositors' money, and the regulator is very keen to ensure that people put money into this business before they do that. That for me is a strong measure. The increase of the capital requirement for some of them is a sure way of making sure that people who enter the industry are capable. They have the resources, and by so doing they can manage the savings of people in a more effective way. We need to apply the rules. I mean, sometimes we are too lenient on the rules that have to be worked on. If we can really apply the rules, I am sure that people will sit up.
He advised the public to be wary of microfinance institutions who promise unrealistic interest rates.
And that's all for business.